All right. Welcome in, folks. We got a sort of an emergency Mount Polumbus Speaks episode here as the Broncos made a big trade today in sending Devon Vele to the Saints. I predicted this was going to happen on the show today. Specifically, I predicted that Devon Vele was going to get traded. I didn't necessarily know who he was going to get traded to, of course, and I certainly did not know the value that Devon Vele was going to get in return for the Denver Broncos, which truly made it an absolute no-brainer for the Broncos to go ahead and send Devon Vele to the Saints. So we got a lot to dive into here tonight. I was out of practice the last 2 days, and sort of 2 different days, radically different days, radical different reports for you in terms of what actually happened out at practice. Cliff notes here before I dive into the details of it. Yesterday, really good, really productive day for Bo Nix and the offense. Today was much more of the same of what we've seen for the majority of training camp, meaning you've got a really good defense. Really, really good defense. And our offense is not quite up to the same speed as our defense just yet. So I'll tell you everything the way that happened. I took really detailed notes out of practice today. I will give you guys these situations. I charted the plays, what was going on, the specifics of what they're working with. But before we dive into any of this, and today was honestly, in my opinion, a really good day for the Denver Broncos. I hate losing Devon Vele. Fantastic football player, but the value that you got back and the redundancy that you have in that wide receiver room right now, this really was a no-brainer for the Broncos to go ahead and move on from Devon Vele. So I'll tell you all those reasons. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. But before I dive into it, as always, need to take a quick second here to thank the title sponsor, Mount Polumbus Speaks, Safeway. Safeway's been an incredible partner of mine. Couldn't do Mount Polumbus Speaks without them. They're just a phenomenal grocery store, local grocery store that supports local businesses. So when you go to Safeway, know that you are supporting local farms, local businesses, because they pride themselves on that. They've got an incredible app that if you don't have on your phone, you need to make sure that you download today. Skip the other delivery service apps. Order directly on Safeway's app. You're going to save a boatload of money. You can get points that you can redeem for discounts. They make it super easy to repeat your order if you're one of those types like me, who I basically order the same thing every single week. I add 3 or 4 things. They save my order for the previous week. It literally takes me 2.5 minutes to get my groceries delivered to my door if I want to get it delivered. It'll be at your door in a blink of an eye. So make sure you download that Safeway app today. Safeway, fresh foods, local flavors. Check out your local Safeway store today. Okay. I guess we will start off with the news of the day, which is Devon Vele, and why I think this was such a no-brainer move for the Denver Broncos. Look, I am in the Devon Vele fan club, so let's just be very, very clear. I am a big believer of Devon Vele and his ability as a football player. I could not have been more impressed with what Devon Vele was able to bring to this football team last year as a rookie 7th-round draft pick. As a rookie 7th-round draft pick, Devon Vele came into training camp last year and did nothing but catch every single ball that was thrown his way, and then found a way to contribute in the regular season as well. So I just want to start out, as I throw in a little lip pillow, I just want to start out by thanking Devon Vele for being so much better than the 7th-round selection of where he was picked. And what we found out today is the NFL values Devon Vele. I don't know how many teams out there would have given the Broncos what they got for Devon as the Saints did, but all it takes is one sucker or one suitor that really values Devon Vele. I hate to call them suckers as I'm sitting here hyping up Devon, and I really do respect him, but I could not believe what the Broncos got in return. What did the Broncos get in return for Devon Vele? They got a 4th-round draft pick and a 7th-round draft pick in return for a dude that you just selected last year in the 7th round. Yes, Mel, great value for Vele. By the way, I usually say that when I've got a live broadcast going on, as I do right now. Feel free to send in your comments, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on YouTube. You can send it in right on that thread. It will pop up live on this screen, and I can interact with you. And it's always a much more fun show when you guys get interactive with me. So please do send in your comments, your thoughts. If you think the Broncos made a good trade, are they going to regret moving on from DeVaughn Vele? I do want to hear from you guys today because my opinion doesn't have to be your opinion. My opinion is just my opinion. My opinion is that if you get offered a 4th and a 7th round draft pick, I agree with Jay. If this feels like absolute highway robbery from Sean and George, that's what it feels like. This dude was selected in the 7th round last year, and as much as I love DeVaughn, as much as I respect his ability as a football player, he's only a second-year player. A second-year player that, yes, last year was productive for the Broncos, but it's not like he had an earth-shattering season. Devon Vele's stats last year, 41 receptions for 475 yards, and you're able to flip your initial 7th-round investment into a 4th-rounder, and you got your 7th-rounder back in return. Now, also keep in mind who you made this trade with. You made this trade with the New Orleans Saints, who are arguably going to be the worst football team in the NFL this year. They're certainly going to be in the chase for the worst football team. Yeah, that's right. We did get less for Jerry Jeudy. You're exactly right. But, yes, I can't remember exactly what we got for Jerry, but I know it wasn't a 4th and a 7th. Why do I bring up that you made a trade with one of the worst teams in the NFL? Because this is not a comp pick that the New Orleans Saints traded to you, meaning a compensatory pick that they're going to get back for a free agent that leaves in the offseason. This is the New Orleans Saints 4th-round selection. Given how bad the Saints are likely going to be with Tyler Shuck as their starting quarterback, or God forbid if they decide to roll a Spencer Rattler as their starting quarterback, this might be the first pick of the 4th round. So this is kind of like a 3rd-round draft pick, right? I mean, whether it's the 1st pick, 2nd pick, 3rd pick, it's going to be a top 5 pick in the 4th round. You got a very high 4th-round return for Devon Vele, and you recouped your initial 7th-round investment. Sounds like a pretty good deal. We traded Demaryius Thomas back in the day for a 4th-rounder. We didn't even get as much for Demaryius Thomas. Now, granted, DT was getting older and it was in the twilight of his career. But to get a 4th and 7th rounder, I don't know what the Saints are doing. It really doesn't make sense to me because I would think that they're going to be in outright tank mode this season, trying to get to the top of the draft to select Arch Manning or whomever is going to be the best quarterback by the time you get to the offseason. I would think they're going to be in total tank mode, but this honestly feels like a move that a team would make that feels like they're just a puzzle piece or two away. Look, DeVaughn's an impressive prospect, so I get why the Saints covet Devon Vele. He's 6'5", 210 pounds. He runs very, very well. He's just a good football player. He blocks well. He's involved in the running game, and he doesn't drop balls. Simple as that. Good football player. I get why they're interested in him, but man, to give up a 4th and a 7th, that feels like the Saints are saying we're just a piece or two away. So Devon Vele is now going to go to the New Orleans Saints. And you know what? It sucks for Devon this year, meaning he's going from a team that is getting a lot of hype right now. Colin Cowherd just ranked the Broncos as the 4th best team in the NFL. I think that's crazy, but I won't get hung up on that. The Broncos are getting a lot of hype, so he's leaving a very healthy, stable organization and going to a bad organization, and that does suck. But if I were to give Devon Vele a nugget of hope in this, hey, dude, you're in your 2nd year. You are on your rookie contract. You haven't been paid yet, and go down to New Orleans. Yeah, you might have to suck it up for a couple of years and lose a lot of football games, but you're probably going to be a featured target. And even good football players on bad football teams put up big stats. So DeVaughn might be able to pull a Michael Porter Jr. who goes out to New York, and he's going to be on a bad basketball team, but he might be able to fluff up his stats because he's now the best basketball player on that team. Devon Vele should, in theory, have really good stats on a bad football team. Not that you want to be selfish, not that you want to think about yourself, but hey, man, it is a business, and we all want to get paid, and we all want to make the most money we possibly can. It actually might be a really good opportunity for Devon Vele to go showcase himself. So I think it's a win for Devon Vele also, because when you look at this Broncos wide receiver room, dude, why were the Broncos able to make this trade? Because it was crowded. First off, you drafted Pat Bryant this year. So you know that he was the new toy. You know that he was the new guy that Sean Payton was going to want to feature in his offense. And Pat Bryant and Devon Vele, very, very similar football players, to the point that it was almost redundant to have both players on the same football team. Pat Bryant, let me see here. Pat's not as tall as Devon Vele. Devon's freakishly tall. Devon's 6'5". I mean, that's a really, really tall wide receiver. Pat Bryant's listed at 6'2". He looks bigger than that to me on the football field. He certainly plays bigger than that to me on the football field. Pat is not the fastest player in the world. Neither is Devon Vele. But they're both big-bodied possession wide receivers that were going to be competing for the same reps on this football team, and it was a little bit redundant to have them in the same room. Now, also add into the fact that Troy Franklin is emerging as potentially the number 2 wide receiver on this football team. Troy Franklin's having a hell of a camp. And then Trent Sherfield, whom you brought in from the Minnesota Vikings, really planning on him being majority as a special teams player. Trent Sherfield has been fantastic in training camp. So you had very, very crowded wide receiver room. You had 6 guys, if you included Devon Vele, that all deserve to be on this football team. And let's see if I can get them all. And Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims and Devon Vele and Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant. And who am I missing? Gosh dang it. I'm missing one in there. Whatever. You got 6 football players on this team that are all worthy of being on an NFL roster. And you can carry 6 wide receivers for sure. It's not unheard of. But it would be more ideal if you only had to carry 5, because if you carry 6 wide receivers, well, that means you're going to have a healthy scratch for every single game. So one of those guys that would make the roster, they're going to be inactive. They won't even have pads on. They're not able to play in the game if you wanted them to play in the game. And so you were going to have a really good football player that really wasn't playing football for you. This just clears the way, man. It just makes it easy. I wasn't in a rush to trade Devon Vele, but when I saw the 4th and the 7th round value, I was just like, damn, I did not see that one coming. Did not see that one coming at all. So I give a tip of the cap to George Payton for working the Saints over and getting tremendous value. My eye is doing better. I appreciate that. My eye is back. I scratched the cornea of my eye sleeping. How did I do that? I don't know. Maybe I got in a fight with my dog, but that was absolutely horrendous pain. Of all my injuries, and I've had 8 surgeries, that was like top 2 or 3 pain I've ever gone through in my life. But your eyeball heals super quick. I'm back in action. I feel better. I appreciate the kind words there. Okay. I think that more or less wraps up my thoughts on the Broncos trade with Devon Vele. If you guys have got any thoughts, or if you've got a different opinion of the Broncos moving on from Devon Vele, please send it in, and I would love to hear from you guys. I know that there are a handful of fans that I've seen on Twitter that are saying, well, you're not going to get a better football player than Devon Vele in the 4th round next year, so why did you trade him? Well, because it was redundant. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. You're probably not going to find a better wide receiver than DeVaughn Vele in the 4th round next year, but you got other good wide receivers on this team, and you can get another really good football player at a different position of need now, and you're just stockpiling ammunition for a player that got redundant. So it seems like the majority of you guys all agree with me saying it's a great trade. As no, I don't. How do I say your name? Is it just no, like N-O? I'm sorry. It feels like the majority of you guys agree with me. I really haven't seen anybody disagree, but I'd be really curious to hear from those of you that don't like this trade for the Broncos. If there's any of you out there, send it in. We've got a live show going on, and your comments will pop up live on stream. Okay, moving on to practice report from the last 2 days. Here's the deal. I'm honest with you. So sometimes I get accused of being a hater. Sometimes I get accused of being negative. I'm not at all. I'm just realistic, and I'm going to tell you guys the truth of what's going on out there. Yesterday, the Denver Broncos offense had a great day. They had a really good day, and it was cool to see because Bo Nix strung together 2 practices in a row. If you go back to that joint practice with the Cardinals, Bo Nix was fantastic. He had to wait a long time to get back out on the field because then Friday was a walkthrough, Saturday was the game. They didn't play in the game. The starters didn't play in the game, and then they had to get all the way to Tuesday to have another practice, and Bo Nix strung together 2 really, really nice days. I was really impressed by the Broncos offense against the Cardinals. I was really impressed by Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos offense against the Broncos. Really talented defense yesterday, and I called it as my eyes saw it. Today I was out there, and it didn't feel that way. Today felt very similar to the far majority of training camp practices. There was some good, for sure. It's not like it was all bad for the Broncos offense, but there was some bad, right? So there was some good, there was some bad. Was it a good practice? Was it a bad practice? It really wasn't either one. It just kind of was, It just kind of was out there. It was just a day that existed with some highs, with some lows, with some good moments and some bad moments. And I'm a little bit bummed out of that because I really wanted to see Bo Nix go on like a 4 or 5 day heater. But today's practice wasn't necessarily bad. Here's how it went down. I took copious notes out there. Mount Polumbus saying the word copious. Did I use it correctly? I think so. I took copious notes out there today. The first real kind of Bo Nix period was the 3rd down period. And that period started out really strong for Bo. I charted all the plays, and in the first 4 attempts, Bo was 3 for 4 in completions, and no, excuse me. Yeah, he was 4 for 4 on completions, but he was 3 for 4 on first down conversions. So it was a 3rd down period, meaning he completed a pass, but they did not get the first down. So I was like, all right, you're off to a really good start here, man. I mean, that's really, really healthy. You're going up against good defense. And overall, I still feel like it was a good period for Bo. When it was all said and done, in that period, Bo Nix ended up going 5 of 7 on completions. He was 4 of 7 on first down conversions. But the period did end with an interception. Now, I didn't think it was a terrible interception. It was one of those balls that Evan Ingram was fully extended, one-handed, trying to grab it. You know, if that ball was 6 inches closer to Evan Ingram, he probably could get both hands on it. But because it was 6 inches too far, Evans got his hand fully extended. That ball just bounces off the tip of Evan Ingram's hands and ends up in a tip ball. And Broncos defense ends up with the interception on it. So, overall, I still, even with the interception included, I think it was a pretty good period for Bo Nix. Obviously, you don't want the interception, and that's going to hurt you in a game. And you can't have a pass that is going to end up like that because tips and overthrows, got to get those. Tips and overthrows, that's when interceptions happen. That's when bad things happen. After that, unfortunately, it went a little bit downhill. Jared Stidham has been on an absolute heater now for a couple weeks. He did not have a very good day today. He went 0 for 3 in the third down period, and Sam Ehlinger went 0 for 1. Broncos were playing some music. They were playing some crowd noise out there during the team periods, which was new. They had not done that all training camp long, so they're obviously trying to work on preparing for a road environment and some crowd noise. They were working the silent count. Next period, Bo Nix had an opportunity to hit Pat Bryant on a walk-in touchdown. Bo had to scramble up in the pocket. He did a good job of evading the rush, steps up just short of the line of scrimmage, launches that ball about 50, 55 yards. Should have been a walk-in touchdown for Pat Bryant, but Bo overthrows him by about 5 or 6 yards. Certainly one that Bo would like to have back. Broncos been working quite a bit of no huddle the last couple days, which is good. And I think that's a nice little change up to have in your bag, even when you're not in a 2-minute drill. It sure feels to me like Tyler Bidet is the third running back on this team. Now, Jaleel McLaughlin was not at practice today, so maybe today wasn't the best day to judge that. But Tyler Bidet feels to me like he's the third man up. Okay, moving on to the final period of practice. It was a 2-minute drill. There were 38 seconds on the clock. The Broncos offense was trailing 21-14. You got one timeout, and the ball started on the 50-yard line. Okay, so you got to score a touchdown. You got to move the ball about 50 yards, and you got to score a touchdown with only 38 seconds on the clock, but you do have one timeout in the bag. First pass of the series, he took a deep shot to Courtland Sutton. That ends up incomplete. Second pass of the series, he hits Adam Troutman on a crossing route, gain of 5 yards. Adam does a good job. He does his job, and he gets out of bounds. So, listen, people think about 2-minute drill as like shot plays down the field. 2-minute drill is about efficiency. It's about little plays like you hit to Adam Troutman. It's about your guy doing his job, getting out of bounds. Okay, but it's 3rd and 5 now, and now we got money down. Unfortunately, on 3rd and 5, the Broncos gave up a sack, and there was a relatively slow thumb on whoever's running the clock. Had a relatively slow thumb out there, very generous to. Sorry, I'm trying to read while I talk. I'm not very talented. They're very generous to the Broncos. Not much time comes off the clock, even with the sack, even though it should. We get to 4th down now, and now the game is on the line. Bo Nix finds Courtland Sutton for a quick slant, and they pick up the 1st down. So good job. You got backed up on 3rd down with the sack, but you found your favorite wide receiver on 4th down. You hit him for a quick slant. You're alive. Now you've got Bo Nix scrambles for about 6 yards, gets out of bounds. Okay, cool. We're managing the clock well. With 38 seconds on the clock, you now have got, probably 17, 18 seconds left. And 2nd down, end zone shot, Marvin Mims, incomplete. 3rd down, you got 14 seconds left. Bo Nix scrambles for about 15 yards. Probably was more realistically a sack from Zach Allen, but they let Bo Nix get out of the pocket, and they ruled it a 15-yard gain. Broncos call timeout. We've got 6 seconds left on the clock, okay? So we moved the ball down to about the 10-yard line, give or take. Been a pretty good drive. You've successfully marched yourself down the field. You are now in a position to try to score a touchdown. You only got 6 seconds, so it's probably only enough time for one plays out of that. 6 seconds left. Bo Nix takes a shot for the end zone. He's looking for Marvin Mims, and Jaquan McMillan just drops an interception. Just flat out drops it. So drive should have been over. Miraculously, whoever's running the clock, there's 1 second left. Funny how that works. They want to give the offense another shot at this thing. 1 second left on the clock. Drive should have ended with an interception. However, they put 1 second on the clock, so you get one more crack at this thing. And Bo Nix, in my opinion, has done a very good job of navigating the pocket, both as a rookie and throughout training camp under duress. I think he does have very good pocket presence. Unfortunately, on the final play of practice, Mike McGlinchey has got Jonathan Cooper fully locked out, fully extended. He's got him exactly where he wants him to be. And Bo Nix just has got a bonehead moment where he just starts drifting over to the right to the point where he just drifts directly into Jonathan Cooper's arms, sack, game over, practice over. Even though Mike McGlinchey had him exactly where he needed to be. So, a little bit of good, a little bit of bad for Bo Nix today. Certainly did not feel like the last couple days from the Broncos offense. But, not necessarily a bad day either. And it's always tough when you're going up against your own guys, especially when you've got a defense that is as good as this Denver Broncos defense. Is the defense just that good, or is the Broncos offense behind? If you were to ask me right now, is this Broncos offense ready to go play in the regular season? I would say no, they've been too inconsistent. Is this Broncos defense ready to go play? Hell yes. So that's where you're at. You've got a damn good defense that looks like they're going to be damn good. They're going to do their job. They're going to keep you in a lot of games. And you've had very inconsistent play from your quarterback and this Denver Broncos offense throughout the majority of training camp. You still got time left, man. You got all this week. You got the game against the Saints. And now with the new rules, because you're only playing 3 preseason games, you've actually got a 2-week break after that final preseason game before the first game of the season. So basically you got 3 weeks left for this Denver Broncos offense to start clicking a little bit more consistently. I'm not panicking by any means. I think that they're going to be okay, but they need to start having more consistent play. Man, I appreciate all these comments flying in left and right from you guys. I apologize. I was rambling there, so I didn't get to read as many of them as I usually do. Love that you guys pay attention to Mount Polumbus Speaks. I'm grateful to you guys that all watch. If you like the content I put out, hit that link on X. Go on over to my YouTube and hit subscribe. That's where my content lives. I don't always live stream, so if you want to make sure you don't miss out on my content, go over to YouTube and hit subscribe, and you'll make sure that you never miss out on any content that I ever put out. And I do a lot of game film breakdown in the season that lives on YouTube. That's some of the most fun stuff that I do. So you're going to want to make sure that you're subscribed before the season begins. Love you guys. I will be back with you guys for sure with the live watch party